Welcome to another episode of the IDEAfit Pro Show. We are so glad you're tuning in today. And today's guest is someone who brings a wealth of knowledge and enthusiasm to our fitness space. You are in for a great conversation. Please join me in welcoming Jeff McMullen. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you. Honored to be here.
Well, Jeff, I'm going to read your bio quickly. It's impressive. And so everybody hold on to your seats here while I share a little bit about Jeff's journey in the fitness industry. Jeff has spent over 35 years as a professional in the fitness industry. He resides in Los Angeles, California, just up the street from me. He's a former collegiate cheerleader and regional aerobic champion and national aerobic competitor. Jeff has been affiliated with and managed the group fitness programs for high-end clubs such as the Bay Club and Equinox, and as a regional fitness manager and club manager position. And in addition to creating his own signature classes, he's been featured in over 20 fitness DVDs, is a contributing writer for American Fitness Magazine and Idea Fitness Journal. Jeff is currently, get this, a master trainer for BOSU, Matrix Ride, Stick Mobility, and TRX. And he's also creating content for on-demand fitness platforms Active and Fit and Trio Wellness. Wow. Jeff, welcome. And my goodness, I'm tired just thinking about all those different things you're up to.
Busy time.
Busy time. Yeah, tell us more. I'm really curious, from your perspective, tell us about your fitness journey and what the last 35 years have been like for you.
Well, it's been a really exciting time. So I grew up on the East Coast in a small town, Altoona, Pennsylvania, which is just outside of State College. And I grew up in a household where fitness wasn't a really big component of what we did. So my parents were not advocates of fitness per se. But the thing I probably should mention that a lot of people don't know is I had a form of muscular dystrophy when I was 12. And it was a condition that was called polymyositis, which is inflammation of the muscles. So when it was diagnosed, at that time, I had a third of the chance of staying the same, a third of the chance of improving, or a third of the chance of it getting worse. And through really great doctors, through Geisinger Medical Center and a very supportive family, I improved and I conquered that condition. So I'm very fortunate to be able to do what I do today. And I always took that in the back of my mind because I think really that was the catalyst, which really started where I was going. Now, it was embedded deep, but when I went to undergrad and I went to Penn State, I went through the landscape architectural program. So that was my undergraduate degree. But during that time, I was participating in recreational sports, still participating in being very physically fit. And then once I got out of college, then I started working at several engineering firms. But the funny thing was that every day couldn't wait to get out of work to get to the gym. And I think that's really where it all started. And then after about 5 years practicing landscape architecture, I decided I want to go back for undergraduate coursework for physical therapy. So I went back to Penn State, took all the courses that I should have taken probably the first time through. And, I chalk it up to the fact that I think when we're young, sometimes our parents sort of form what trajectory we're going to take. So you trust in that process. And I don't know how many of the other viewers or people that have gotten into fitness have done that same thing, is that you've gone on another course and then somewhere along the way, something clicks and you find where you need to be. So when I was doing all the prerequisite work, I started actually teaching classes. So I got alpha certified. I was teaching at the rec department at Penn State. In classes at that time were massive, like 200 and 300 people in a class. And it was when STEP was at the beginning and its heyday. And then I did the prerequisite work. I was volunteering at one of the hospital sites where we needed to do our volunteer work for physical therapy. And they had a gym affiliated with that facility. It was called Tilton Fitness Network, which is no longer in existence anymore. But I started teaching classes there, and I think within 2 months I became the aerobic director, and I had no idea what I was doing. But it landed me in a trajectory, and the rest takes off from there. So that's where it all started.
Amazing. Well, first of all, I know Altoona, Pennsylvania. I went to school at George Mason, and 3 different basketball teammates came from Altoona. So women's basketball was strong back.
Oh,
Yeah,
massively, massively.
I love
Yes.
that. And also, I love that you were involved with rec at on university campus. I mean, I'm I'm guessing while it was really popular, that it may not have taken the same form or structure that it does today. And I remember taking a few classes in college as well, and it was fun, but it was probably, I don't know if they had full or robust schedules. It was like a couple classes a week. So tell me more about where you've seen recreational fitness advance.
Well, the interesting thing is, now that I've been doing education, is that I also work for Fit Pro programming. So we've done some things. That's Trisha Madden Murphy and Lauren George, who I love very much. And we're getting into the universities. So one of our specialists did something at Penn State last weekend, and I was so jealous because I was like, wow, I mean, that would have been great to do. But I think it's really creating a journey for somebody that's in college, that it's really setting things up from the mainstay to get started. And there is a career in fitness. I've made a career out of it. I've seen many of my colleagues make a career out of it. Whether it's management, whether it's teaching classes, whether it's being a personal trainer, and we'll get into what some of the trends that I'm seeing too, but there's so many different facets that you can take, that recreational fitness is really the foundation of where it starts.
Yeah, that's true. And I've seen, well, we work with NERSA, which is the Association for Campus Rec Centers, and they're looking to IDEA again to help really create a career pathway for individuals, because sometimes you can only see what's in front of you. And I think a lot of us get into the industry and are like, oh, this is what I can see I can do. But as technology advances and as roles change, and there are so many new jobs being created in our space. But I love that you've found a career in fitness for over 3.5 decades, and you've made this work for you. So I want to get into that a little bit more about what you're seeing in the future trends of whether it's recovery or just movement. You talked about step. What are you seeing around different modalities in fitness? What are some of the cool trends that you're seeing?
Well, what I'm seeing is Pilates is moving to the forefront. And when I say that, I might be name dropping a little bit here, but 2 years ago, when I moved to LA, I moved here. And sometimes I'm grabbing at a couple, and I don't mean to scatter it, but I moved here to be part of what is considered active and fit. It was silver and fit at that time, and it's part of American Health Fitness, or it's American Health. It's called ASH, so Specialty Health. And what it was moving into the on-demand space. So I moved to Los Angeles. It was during the pandemic, so it was 2021. And Linda Shelton, who is an icon, and I'm very fortunate to get to work with, she was creating a group of professionals that she was filming content for, at that point, Silver and Fit, which was for active aging. And it was probably one of the most uncomfortable things I've ever done, because camera work is interesting. Is it's taking your knowledge and then you're becoming a fitness actor. And the interesting thing was it's reinvention. And what happens, I think, that sometimes fitness professionals get stuck in a rut. What you have to do is get out there and get scared again. You have to get uncomfortable. You have to try something that maybe isn't in your wheelhouse, but you rely on what your background is and you put it into action. And when I say that, is that Silver and Fit was not my comfortable space, which is now transitioned into Active and Fit because now it's expanded. So we're filming content every year. We just finished a shoot last month. And we were working on Gym Fit, which is where I'm going to go in a moment, because it's one of those things that I'm seeing in fitness facilities now. But on-demand content is still there. And I think the pandemic really shifted us very quickly from an active presence in classes and working with clients to now an on-demand approach. And on-demand could be Zoom, could be working for a brand. The interesting thing was I still have 5 personal training clients that I work with, and I lived in San Francisco for 20 years before I moved to LA. I have now transitioned them all to on-demand or online. I don't see them physically, which makes it a little bit interesting. One of them I haven't seen in 5 years, but we work together at least 3 to 4 times a week.
Wow. I love that.
So those fitness professionals that are out there that jumped on that and conquered that, I applaud them. That was huge. But what I was getting at too is when I moved to LA, I worked for Solid Core, which is a derivative of Pilates training. It's group reformer training. It's probably the most challenging class I've ever taken myself, but even more challenging to be able to coach that class, because you're strictly relying on your verbal skills to do that. So going back to what are our skill sets, what really serves us best, and that's when we dive into what IDEA is all about, because it just levels you up in a really great way. With getting into those skill sets.
You have, if as I was just reading your bio and reflecting while you were talking, you are actively training clients in person and online, and you are a master trainer teaching fit pros, mostly online, I would imagine, but you may do in-person classes as well.
A lot of traveling again. So with our TRX cadre, we do a lot of on-demand things, and also, I should say, online. So I'm in my living space right now, but it is a film studio that I rope it off, and then I do foundation courses for TRX yoga, and then suspension training course, which is just personal training, and then we have a group training course. But a lot of the groups that I'm working with now, Stick Mobility, Matrix Ride, we're actually back out there, and I am traveling again. So educating fitness professionals across the US. It's great to be back.
It's great. Well, your career is beautifully illustrating what I get asked about almost every day from industry veterans and industry technology, and everyone wants to know, Amy, tell us how are fitness professionals training now, and how has online training changed everything? Well, you're the perfect example of a hybrid professional who also teaches other professionals, but you have found a nice blend of both. And that's exactly what I try to articulate to other people, is to say, you know what? Fitness professionals can train anyone, anywhere in the world, on any modality. And that is brilliant and beautiful. And I'm all for it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's just technology sometimes is challenging for us, but I also want you to remember that technology breaks down the barriers and the walls, and it's universal. Is that you can train at any time, any place. It doesn't limit you. It only opens up the possibilities.
I love it. Okay, so tell me, what are some of the essential tools that fit pros need to have for this online business? You've converted part of your living space, which I love. But what are some of the basic essential tools that you feel every fit pro should invest in if they want to have this type of hybrid career?
I think that obviously having a savvy for electronics. So whether it's a laptop or whether it's a phone, sometimes you have to be dutifully prepared that, if I'm doing a small group training in the morning and my computer is not activating the way it should, then we go to FaceTime. And it's just like what we do when we're in class and the mic stops working and the music stops working, is we have to have plan B. So great lighting. If you have to have a microphone, I actually wear a headset when I'm training with my clients. So it's really tuned in and it's very specific and crisp. I do the backlog of the music in the background. It's really just be prepared to teach a class or train a client in person, but now you have to use electronics as your backup tools.
Yes, that's right. Okay, so where do you see this evolution of your hybrid training style going? Do you see less in person, more online, similar blend? Any other advancements you see down the road?
Well, I sometimes joke about it that the way AI is going is I'm hoping that they're not going to replace us eventually, and that there's just this robot that's really progressing and moving forward. I think the beauty of it is once the pandemic, I think we can say now it's concluded and we've moved past that, is we've gotten back into the studios. We've gotten back into the gyms and your facilities. And what I found, at least, I had moved away from San Francisco and didn't really get a chance to get back into the facilities that I was at that time. I came to LA, so it was like a completely clean slate. But what I was finding is that people that were coming back and taking classes live and or personal training live, is we have a whole new group of people that have not done anything with fitness. So we have many neophytes that are wanting to learn, and we can educate as fitness professionals. And that's what I found has really been interesting, is because my generation, and I'm 61, is I'm actually teaching and training a lot of people that are in their 20s and 30s. So their idea of fitness is sometimes tuning into a small screen. Whereas the overall ability to be in a group and seeing that energy and that vibe and really feeling what that's all about, that's new to them. And that's exciting. So those of us that, I commonly refer to myself as a dinosaur because I've been around a long time, but sharing that with a new group, a new generation, and what the caveat is all of that, that's been really exciting.
Yeah. I see the same with, I think everything kind of happens in a pendulum, right? So while this incoming generation is very tech driven, they even at a gym, they're on their device watching a workout. So there's that happening. But maybe in different stages of your life, you're drawn to something different. And I think it kind of flows back and forth in terms of someone's uptake, I guess, of being in person versus connected to technology. But in the future, it's amazing that we have both options. And I think we'll see, just like in the event space, where, sure, you can get your CECs anywhere. You don't have to come to an in-person event. But when you do, it's mind blowing and it's a whole different experience, right? So I kind of liken it to like this person who is using technology as a gateway to get into fitness. But when they come and experience community, connection in a club, they realize they're just two different products, right? And it's nice to have both.
Yeah. And I think, it's what you need in the moment. Is before you really had to have a physical presence. Well, you can still have the physical presence. It just might be more 2-dimensional than 3-dimensional. And what I was saying is that we just filmed content for Active and Fit, and we specifically were filming things. We called it gym training, where you're working with machines, that you're leading someone through from machine 1 to machine 2, very circuit training oriented. But it's also what I'm seeing when I am in a facility is that people are in the group fitness studio when there isn't a class being held and they're tuning into their devices.
Yes. Yeah, even before the pandemic, I was in business development with Les Mills and I was selling virtual studios inside clubs. So you go in and then the class just starts and you can take class by yourself with technology or with a group of people who came in. So it was really, I had a hard time explaining that concept to people before the pandemic and now it's mainstream. So now everybody knows what on demand is.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yes.
it's exciting. I think
Yeah.
when you talk about career paths for people that are getting into fitness or people that are just looking to reinvent themselves, there's so many different ways to go.
Yes. So, Jeff, we do a career discovery day at Idea World. We've been doing it the last 3 years. Your story would probably fire them up because we bring in people who share their career paths. And just like you never could have imagined where this path would take you, but you just kept moving in the direction that ignited you. And that's where you found this amazing path. So, I'll have to include you if I can.
No, no,
While
please.
you're there. Yes.
I would love to.
Okay, I do want to talk about Idea World and the sessions you're teaching, but I have another question that I know our Fit Pros are very curious about. Another question I get asked about a lot from our members is how do I become a master trainer? How do I get to work with all these amazing brands? And you've got 4 right now currently. So I would love for you to just share a little insight. Like, how did you manifest those opportunities and what are your responsibilities there?
So I'm going to give a massive shout out to someone that sort of corralled me and steered me in a really great direction. So when I moved to California from the East Coast, Shannon Fable had a company called Sunshine Fitness Resources at that time. And she put out sort of a casting call to anybody that was interested. So it was put together a class that specialized for you. And you submitted this application to her organization, and her team would evaluate what that was. And I submitted mine, and by the luck of the draw, I was the one that they chose. And at that time, it was called intentionality. So it was, how do I want to say? It's dance, but with a little bit more of a provocative flair, which was fun. And her and her team of professionals were putting together regional little educational sessions for her group. And that's how I got started. I got to present what that was. I think it was in the Midwest. I was in Wisconsin somewhere. It was the dead of winter. And 2 people from my class came as I called them my backup chicks. So we presented this class and the rest started from there. She really spearheaded me in the right direction. So people like June Kahn, Stacy Lee Krause were all part of her group. And that's where it all started.
Amazing. And you just keep name dropping some of the most incredible people in our industry who all have presented at Idea World before, as have you. So that was a beautiful transition. And shout out to Shannon and Stacy and Trisha and Lauren and Linda and June. I know I lived in Colorado, so I was just down the street from June and Shannon. Yeah. Okay, but I want to transition to your sessions at Idea World. And before we do that, tell us your idea story. Like, how did you first hear about Idea and how did you get involved?
Well, it was Shannon again. And the cool thing was, once I started presenting for her group, I had the courage to put together, April Price Show actually was part of Idea at that time. So, I submitted my sessions for consideration. And now I'm trying to think, how long ago was that? It's been a while. And I got to present my intentionality class as a workout at that Idea that year. I think it was like probably the late 90s or early 2000s. So that's how I started. And then I came back several times. And then the cool thing is that once you become a master trainer, sometimes there are sponsored sessions. So I did get a chance to come with TRX a couple of times. And that's where it all stemmed from.
Amazing. We do still have sponsored sessions, so maybe one of those brands will invite you back this year. Who knows? We still have a few months till the event. But you are coming as an independent presenter this year, which means that you're presenting your own content and your own teacher cueing and teaching. So I know you've got 3 sessions on the program. Let's tell our listeners what are those 3 sessions and what are some of the highlights of why someone would want to attend those sessions?
One of them is called Bellissimo. And that will be a workout where we're going to take some traditional equipment, a medicine ball and a stability ball. We're going to work with them independently. Some of the assets of doing things with those: medicine ball for power, working with ranges of motion and mobility, add the stability ball independently, doing some new balance training techniques, and then we'll put them both together and come up with some creative combinations. The second one is called Totally Tubular, and tubing is always a really great asset, whether you use it for group fitness, whether you use it for small group training or personal training. I have some really cool partner drills that we're going to do. So partner training is really exciting. And then the last one, and one of my really good friends and one of your presenters, Melissa Lane, we were at another event earlier this year. She's a great step advocate and I'm a step advocate. So that's where I started, is we sort of powwowed, and I have a bunch of different workshops on my website, which is jeff/fitnesspro.com. So we talked about maybe let's just submit a session for duo step training, and it got selected. So we're really excited. Really
Oh,
excited.
so exciting. So step, tube, medicine ball, stability ball. Amazing. And you'll like what I would love to articulate to people like, yes, you're going to teach how to apply them all in a class and maybe make some different formats from it. But also, people will walk away with just new understanding of those modalities and how to add them in any of your training or classes, which is what you're teaching, right? How do you use those
Yeah,
modalities?
I mean, I think I like to call it the 3 C's of group fitness. It's cueing, coaching, and communicating. So, people learn different ways. We all know that visually, kinesthetically, and auditorily. But, whether you're training live or whether you're training virtually, and how you communicate that way is a little bit differently than what you do in person. Or if you're filming content, and Linda Shelton has been really instrumental, again, because it wasn't my comfort zone and my comfort space. But now I feel comfortable being able to articulate that, because people auditorily understand information a little bit differently because it's a 2-dimensional thing. So you have to appeal to that means differently. So that's how I'm going to try to approach my discussions, because everybody's doing things differently, whatever their business mode or model is. So keeping that in mind, when I do my sessions is really huge. But also, having open communication is that by all means am not the authority on those things. It's more about that coming together and sharing. That's what I love about IDEA.
Yes, the magic. Why is Idea World a must attend, in your opinion?
I just think that the networking capability, when I started way back in, oh my gosh, it was like 1989. That's a long time ago. But it was the gold standard. And when I say that is I would go and take a step class from Andre Houlet, or I would take a step class from Gabe Gasper, and I could be in the same room with them and I could share in the energy, but I also was able to ask them questions. And I felt like there was a really great mentoring capability that's there. And I think that's what live presents, because if it's virtual, you don't really make that sense of connection with someone. And I really think that level of connecting with people, whether it's networking for your business, making new friends. What I love about IDEA is it's a world event. I've met people from all over the world. I'm excited about your new location. I think that's going to be great. but I think it's just somebody that's getting into the industry and wants to really get a taste of what it's all about and feel that energy and that vibe. If they're not sure about this is what I need to do, you need to go, and then it's going to answer the question for you.
That's right. That's right. And Dr. Schroeder, who helped us with the program this year, she said it best. She said, our presenters are kind humans. They really, 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 not only do they want to teach, but they want to have follow-up Q&A. They want to connect with you. They want to understand, like, okay, so you applied it. How did it work? They want to have conversations in the elevators and on the expo floor. Everyone is so giving of their time and their energy. And that's because we truly are a fitness family and you're with your peoples. And the presenters are no different because the presenters are human as well. And like you've pointed out several times in this podcast, is you're always learning and you're always growing. And everyone comes with that attitude, which is what I cherish most about these events.
Yeah, it's just inspiring people on so many levels because you don't know where people are coming from in your classes or your clients. Not everybody wants to share, but I think in that sense of community, the energy and the vibe just promotes a level of positiveness, and it's great.
It's great. And all of the people that you've mentioned have come through IDEA and you've all uplifted one another's careers. Like you shared examples of how they've empowered you to take your next step and they've encouraged you when you weren't feeling confident. And I'm sure you've done the same for them. So that in some way, so we give and we share and we connect. And that's what just makes Idea World so magical.
Absolutely. And I can already tell by how you lead by example that it's just you're infectious. So I can't wait to meet you in person.
Well, and to be honest, this is why I had to keep IDEA going. It's because it's meant that to me for my whole 3 decades in the industry, and it's been the gateway where I connected with people and have created so many friends that led me to the opportunity to even buy the company. So it's my why and it's my passion. And you've made this your passion for 3.5 decades. And so I'm super excited to actually meet you in person and share space together. Hopefully I can take some of your classes too.
I I would be honored.
Now,
Thank
are you doing workouts or workshops?
So the Bellissimo will be a workout. So that'll be an early morning workout. And then the totally tubular and the duo step will be workshops.
Amazing. And for all of you listening who have never attended, we have 3 different formats. We do workouts, workshops, and lectures. So Jeff's particular workshops, then you'll get CECs for those. It's like a combination of a lecture and a workout. You get to learn and then apply with your teacher presenter in the class. And then workouts, you actually get to work out with our subject matter experts and sweat together. And just those are magical as well, the morning workouts.
I'm very excited to be there.
Yeah, we say we exercise all day and dance all night. Um, I'm just going to put you on the spot here. What's one of your best memories of the welcome party? Did you attend the welcome party in the past?
Yes. I mean, I think it was, just getting to see the presenters and the attendees mix and mingle, and the fact that everybody is so humble and so kind, and everybody has a great time. And then at night we celebrate. So even though we think we might have expired all of our energy throughout the day, there's still energy left to have a great time afterwards.
That's right. That's right. We do. We work out all day and dance all night and then do it all again the next day. Amazing. Well, we're so thrilled to have you on the program this year. I can't wait to meet you. So in closing, tell the listeners, I know you dropped your URL already, but tell them again how to find you. You've got a really big Instagram following. You're a master trainer for all these amazing brands. So walk through that. And then you already did drop a lot of nuggets about what Fit Pros can not only enjoy in this industry, but how to stay curious and how to keep moving forward. But if there's any other pieces of advice that you want to share for our audience, please do so.
Sure. So I have a website, and it's catered to the education that I have available for workshops. So it is reinvention-fitnesspro.com. Sort of tells my story of how I evolved. So thank you for allowing me to share that with you. Workshops are listed. And then Instagram, I spend a lot more time on Instagram. So it's Jeff Fitness Pro, all one word. So it looks a little weird, 3 F's in a row. Sharing content there. I also share upcoming educational opportunities. So I have a couple workshops for Fit Pro programming coming up. Some things going on for Matrix as well as Idea World in July. Facebook, I connect on there as well. And then educational opportunities for Fit Pro programming. So I'm doing something with Human Reformer and also Bar Above Pilates based programming. That'll be in July in San Diego. 3 workshops that I'm going to do for Idea World in July, and then workshops crop up. It just depends on with Matrix or TRX when they need something, but you can always check my Instagram feed. And then when it comes to tidbits for fitness professionals, I think it's just stay curious. There's always something that we can learn. And you never know where that's going to lead. I think you really gave me an opportunity to share my story and some of the things that I'd forgotten about because they got tucked in the crevices. But one thing sometimes leads to another thing. And I think it's just exciting that, I've been thinking, what's my 10-year plan? Because in 10 years, I'm probably going to be ready to retire. So what's the next thing? Is that comprehensive Pilates training? It sounds really appealing to me. And maybe actually having my own business finally. But it's having a plan. It doesn't always necessarily mean it's going to take that path, but being open and being curious.
Oh, I love it. Open and curious. I love it. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us today. Your energy and perspective are just beautiful. And I can't wait to meet you in person. And I know our listeners are walking away with so much inspiration and insight. And for our listeners, make sure you register for Idea World early because you want to get in and select your sessions. And I can guarantee you Jeff's sessions are going to sell out. So you got to get in. As soon as you register, you can pick your sessions, get into those classes. You can learn more at IDEAfit.com. And don't forget to follow Jeff on his social channels and follow his amazing work. That's it for today's episode of IDEAfit Pro Show, where fitness is our business.
Yeah.